Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience. Good evening and welcome to Those Were the Days. We are wrapping up our month of holiday specials. We are not waffling. We are not waddling. We are not wallowing. No. We are wassailing our way into the new year. But I can't do this by myself. No. I need help. And I need somebody who never lets history take a backseat to his stomach. It's Steven.
Well, if you ever want a job that's debilitating and soul-sucking for hours and hours and hours on end, but eventually brings you great joy, be a stop-motion animator. I hear it's great. Loads of fun. Get in on that.
Also here with us, his camel has a beautiful little mustache on it. It's Audie.
Well, here we come, a wagoning among the leaves so green. Here we come, a wagoning so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wagon too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
Did we just come a John Boy and Billy skit? Is that what just happened? That was great.
Yes, sir.
And yes, that was amazing. And finally, she is never late because the next reindeer is due any minute. It's Amy.
All right, so we all know that the war on Christmas doesn't exist. However, I do want to bring up a more important issue, and that is Balthazar erasure. Yeah, I said it.
Oh, so we are wrapping up holiday episodes this year with yet another Christmas special. This one debuted the same night as the Garfield Christmas, and that was a Claymation Christmas celebration. 1987, directed by Will Vinton. And I definitely remember watching this one. I had it on my it was on my cassette with a Garfield Christmas. So I want to know what kind of history everybody has with this. We're going to start with Audie.
Okay, I definitely remember this one. Garfield Christmas, I didn't remember. This one, I remembered. Um, so yeah, it definitely was one like every scene, everything that came up, I was like, oh, I remember that. Oh, just the dinosaurs hosting it and stuff. So
Mhm. Yep.
yeah, definitely remember all of this. And like just the way I still to this day, when We Three Kings comes up, I'm thinking of this version of it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Steven, how about you?
I have no memory of this ever happening anywhere. I think at most the California Raisins gave me some pause to think, did I watch this ever?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, aside from like a slight potentially gaslighting of myself to assure myself that I had seen it, I don't know what I don't know where this came from. I was 2 when it hit, which might be too young to remember. And then I don't think my parents recorded it because they were likely sleep deprived and most just eager to put me to bed as quick as possible.
Ah, amazing. Amy, what about you?
This is a formative piece of media for me.
Mhm.
I no lie, absolutely no lie. Um, I mean, I've probably like I did watch it for the show, but I don't know that I needed to watch it for the show. Like
Right.
I did need to be reminded of Joy to the World because that was never my favorite part as a kid
Mm,
when you're little because you're like, this is not comparatively, this is not it.
right.
Um, but I mean, Carol of the Bells is my favorite secular Christmas song. We Three Kings is my favorite religious Christmas song, even if they did leave out just the best verse, but everyone does, so it's fine. Um, like I don't want to say this is how I wound up a sculpture major, but it certainly helped. Like,
For
I
sure.
for sure did stop motion animation when I was little. Like, very much so.
Mhm.
Um, I was big into this. This was like one of my favorites. This version of Carol of the Bells is so good. We'll talk
Hmm.
Oh,
about it, but
yes,
Mhm.
we will.
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah, same for me, and it being very formative. It was one that I watched a lot. It aired back to back with Garfield for several years. I don't think it went as long as the Garfield Christmas special
no.
getting aired,
Mhm.
but it did definitely air for several years. This was an Emmy-winning production. So this won a primetime Emmy for animation. I think just like special of some kind. So this was created by and directed by Will Vinton. Now that name, he had been doing stop motion and claymation in particular for quite a while. He had been doing that for over 10 years at the point that this came out. He got his start in the 70s and created Will Vinton Studios, which eventually became Leica Studios after
Ooh.
Travis Knight.
Oh.
Kind of Travis Knight, the son of Nike founder Phil Knight, um,
Ah.
eventually came along, bought bought up like controlling shares and ousted Will Vinton from Will Vinton Studios and renamed it Leica.
Well,
And the rest they kind of went on.
well, now
Look, son,
But
Travis.
I've built you this empire of sneakers. Yeah, listen. I'm gonna go do stop motion animation.
right,
Travis, what
um,
is there anything we would know that Leica did? We would be
you
familiar with.
might have heard of things like Coraline
Uh-huh.
or Paranorman. Um, Kubo and the Two Strings is Leica.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Is Gwendolyn
Paranorman is a
Wild? I think Gwendolyn
Halloween.
Wild is.
It's a Halloween necessity for me and Stephanie every year. Paranorman is definitely on the TV.
Yeah, and Will Vinton had worked on quite a few things. So he was based out of Portland, Oregon, and he worked on stuff like Return to Oz. He did stop motion claymation stuff for that. There was a movie that came out in 1992. You might have, I don't know if any of you have seen, but it was called Brain Donors with John Turturro. That had an intro and outro that was claymation. That was Will Vinton had done that. But the biggest things were he got started with a lot of ad stuff, and that's where the California Raisins came from. The California
Mhm.
Raisins were
Yeah.
the California Raisin Board um, spokes raisins. And if you weren't around in the 1980s, it's hard to describe what a phenomenon the California Raisins
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
Like I think that the M&Ms kind like it's a
Which also was
different
a Will
thing.
Vinton thing, by the way. The M&Ms
Yes.
were his
Mhm.
creation as well.
But I mean, if you think about how pervasive the M&Ms are to the point where Fox News is talking about how the green M&M doesn't wear heels anymore.
Mhm,
That that was the same, like it was a different thing because they were a musical act, because of
mhm,
course they were.
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, like the monkeys.
No, yeah. No, I love the California Raisins. It was a big deal.
Yeah, like he created the California Raisins, the Domino's Noid. If you
Oh,
remember
Oh
jeez.
those
yes,
Yeah.
of
commercials,
course.
that
Oh
Avoid
my
the
character was
Noid.
gosh.
his.
I
Yeah.
remember the freaking Nintendo game of the Noid.
Yeah, me
Yep.
too,
Yo
dude.
Noid. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they made a Nintendo game for
Um,
everything back then.
Yeah, they did.
Seven
yes,
Up,
So
they did.
good.
the
Yep,
Noid.
Spot.
Yeah.
Hmm. So that was Will Vinton, and in 1987, he made a claymation Christmas celebration, which is what we watched, and this was a ton of fun. It's just a collection of music videos of Christmas carols,
Mhm.
but I love the wraparound of Rex and Herb, the two dinosaurs, which
Mhm.
were characters from other Will Vinton things. He had done a movie in 1980, I think, called Dinosaur, and those two characters were in that, but they didn't speak. This
Yeah,
was the first time they had voices and had lines of dialogue,
but they
and they
had
were kind of
models, and that
yes,
was
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, they don't want to
hmm
make anything new.
right.
Mhm.
Um, so it's Rex and Herb, and they are presenting the Christmas special from London's Christmas Square, I think is what it was, or recreation of it. And so we get songs, and the songs that they did, they start off with "We Three Kings."
Okay.
Audie, and Amy, I know both of you love that. And for me, same thing.
Mhm.
This is when I think of We Three Kings, this is what plays in my head.
Always, and you do the sway, and it's always so dirgy in church.
Hmm.
It's like, come
Mhm.
on, man. But it is missing the best verse.
Yeah.
But no one does the best verse. But that's fine. It's fine.
Uh, they barely get past the first and second verse, no matter where.
I know.
So
At least we get the end verse in this one.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, Balthasar's verse is the verse about myrrh, and it
Mhm.
includes the lines sorrowing, sighing, bleeding, dying, sealed in the stone cold tomb.
Mhm.
It is so good. Also, Balthasar, what were you doing bringing that to a baby? That was not, that's not a peck, man.
Well, even before this, we get the start of the wassailing joke,
Yes.
Hmm.
Hmm.
like running gag, which
Oh
was
yeah,
hilarious.
it's the through line. You got to have that to tie when you're doing a
Mhm.
musical kind of vignette thing. You need a through line. That was
Yep.
a good one.
It really, really was. You get it was like a kennel full of dogs. They got a cart with waffles and they're waffling.
Yeah,
And
so
Herb,
good.
and that's the thing, right? So Rex and Herb, Rex is like, he's very into the Christmas holiday and the Christmas carols, and Herb just wants all the snacks and to
Yeah.
eat.
Mhm.
Uh,
He's like
even,
Rizzo from Muppet Christmas Carol.
yeah,
Always
Right.
here for the food.
I even love the line of like, and we'll have, songs about Christmas snacks. And Rex is like, there are no carols about snacks. Like,
I
I
love
loved
his
Rex's
voice.
voice.
He's like
Mhm.
Oh,
Thurston
so
So
Howell,
good.
man. Like, love it.
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Bring me the waffles. It's so good. It's so good. I love it.
It's really
Um,
funny because I knew what wassail was
mhm.
because we did like a thing at now wassail is traditionally alcoholic, but we
Right.
did a thing. I want to say it was like in kindergarten where we got like recipes, and one of them was for wassail. And it
Mhm.
was like, like basically like a mulled cider, whatever.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
like, so I already knew. I was like, I was in. I already knew. And I was like, yes, Rex, you tell him.
So Three Kings, We Three Kings song goes, I love the camels and
Mhm.
the doo
Camels
wop.
are so good.
Yeah.
And like the camel with the mustache was my favorite, of course, because it was just
It's the
ridiculous.
best
But
version of that song.
Oh, it's
it's
so good.
really
Yeah.
good.
It's so good. I was stunned because I'm going in blind. Like, keep in mind, I
Yeah.
have not seen this. I don't know what we're doing. And then
Mhm.
it takes me a little bit often when I'm watching something new that I've not seen before to kind of get the vibe of it and
Yeah.
care about it, to some degree. I was locked in. I was so into these camels singing. It's the best version. And when you brought it up, like, it's got the best chorus of any
Yeah.
Christmas Carol.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
that melody that they've got
Right.
going, it's modern before there was a modern chorus. Like, it just sings to
Yeah.
you. So
Yeah.
many carols and churchy songs are just like, oh goodness.
And
Yeah.
they get like I said, they get dirgy when you have like a room full of people who can't
Oh
really singing it,
yeah,
Yeah, they
and
do.
like everybody's following everybody else. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter how joyful it is. It always gets kind of
yeah. It's
Yeah.
droning. You're
bogged
Yes.
gonna start
down.
Yes, it
droning
does.
because
Yeah.
they're like, oh gosh, when's the singing gonna stop? I just want to sit down in this uncomfortable pew.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So then we come back and what is it? Herb is eating waffles.
Mhm.
Yeah,
He's loving that. And
as
then
he should.
Yeah.
we're gonna do and then they explain the bells and why they rang bells as a midwinter
Which is
thing.
so good because he's
Mhm.
ringing it in Rex's face.
Yes.
Right.
Just right in his face. And I love too, it's like this isn't making you go away. Um, and then we go to the Carol of the Bells, which
Okay.
this
Oh
is
my
All right.
gosh.
this is great.
There are
I had forgotten, by the way, uh, I had forgotten that Quasimodo
Quasimodo.
was the
Yeah.
maestro.
Yep. Um, I knew only because I have watched this particular clip more recently
Mhm.
than I had
Okay.
watched the
Mm.
whole special. There are better versions of Carol of the Bells out there, but this one, like, just for sheer brilliance,
Mhm.
it's so good.
Like
And
as soon as it
Quasimodo's
came, as
unhinged.
soon as it came up, I was like, okay, where's the stupid bell? Or where's
Yeah.
the and here's how I know where this came from. Where's the dumb bell? I
Yep.
guarantee you that word combo is where this whole thing came from.
Oh, that's so good. All I
It's
know is
really
I
good.
want to 3D print all of these and have
Right.
Yes.
ornaments of them on my
Mhm.
tree next Christmas because they're so good. They're so expressive. I was just stunned the whole time watching this, which I'll give you Sam's update later because he did watch it with me this time, and it's always good to have that kid's
Nice.
perspective on a kid's. It's
Yeah.
a family
Oh
deal,
yeah.
but yeah, kid's perspective. Man,
Yep.
the detail on these faces just something else. Like
And
every
Mhm.
model, really.
it's not like one or two of them. It's
No,
everything.
all
It's
of them.
Yeah.
every single bell, and
Yeah.
And
it's
the
their
way they look
expressions and
and vibrate, like when
hmm
they smack themselves,
Mm-hmm.
incredible.
Yeah.
yeah.
And they had to like model each one frame by frame and know like, oh, I got to move this one here. And I know they storyboard all this
Hmm.
stuff out. They know the moves they're going to make, but still just knowing you've got to meticulously set up each one cuz in claymation background characters matter. Like it's not like an
Yeah.
actor where you're just like that guy's going to act while this person talks. That extra
Right.
in the
Yeah.
background is going to
Right.
do his thing. Like claymation, you control the whole deal and it's
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
taxing because you're going to watch that back and go, dang it, we forgot to move Bill's arm. He stood like this for 15 minutes. Shoot.
Hmm.
Yep.
It's wild to me.
Oh yeah. But just all those bells, and they're smacking themselves, and you get the one dumb bell, and I love it. He's got the just one big tooth in the middle of his face,
Yeah.
and his little bow tie, and there was also a soundtrack album that was released for this, and it had most of the songs. I think the only one not in there was the "Oh Christmas Tree,"
Hmm.
and they added a few songs. And I remember having that because the soundtrack version of the Carol of the Bells, because you don't have the visuals, they have like an added voice in there telling the bell things like, "Yeah, you missed again," or "You forgot to do your whatever."
Sure.
Mm.
But I just love like the first time it gets to him and he's playing his
Air
hammer like a
guitar.
guitar.
Yeah.
It's the bug for me.
It
Oh,
really
yeah.
is.
Mm.
And then trying to take the other guys. And he's like,
Yes,
Yeah. Oh,
I
that's
lost
great.
mine.
That was so good.
because it's the facial expression he gives when he tries to reach over for the first one
Mm-hmm.
and gets caught, and then he reaches for the other one, and it's the "I lost mine."
I lost mine.
It's so good.
And Quasimodo's glare. Because his eyes are
Mm-hmm.
not the same size.
No.
Yeah.
No,
He's so good.
There's something about the
um,
dumbbells expression too that reminded me of Angry Kid. You guys remember those Angry Kid shorts? The kid with like the red hair
No.
standing against a brick wall doing something gross. I don't
I
No.
know.
don't.
If you
Mm-mm.
watched it, it would definitely, I think it would clue in. Oh, I see where Steven's going with that one. Somebody out there in podcast land is nodding right now as they
Oh.
listen. They're like, oh
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
Oh, I remember. I know. Looking at him now, I
Yeah.
gotcha.
It's
Oh,
like
I
it lives
remember.
in you know what it is, you just don't know the name. And I remember I learned
Mm-hmm.
it once. I was like, I remember that. And this dude's expression reminded me of the angry kid's face.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I can see that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's
So you get the
related.
Carol of the Bells. Um,
Brilliant.
I loved it. Loved it.
So
And I
The
good.
like
slingshot.
Quasimodo using the
Mwah.
slingshot at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chef's kiss.
Um, so now we're going to go to "Oh Christmas Tree," but before that, we get our second of the running gags, which is waddling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
A
and
bunch
they're
of
so
uh,
cute.
they're geese, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, come waddling in, and they've got, of course, got more food, which Herb is all about. So then we go to "Oh Christmas Tree," and I liked this one a lot more now than I think I did when I was a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool the way it like keeps going into the
I was
trees.
gonna say I
Yes.
really appreciated that of it,
Hmm.
like
Mhm.
just the technical aspect of keep going into an ornament.
Yeah.
And then to go up to the star and pull back, and you're back in the original room with the
Mm-hmm.
tree all decorated. I thought was really really cool. Um, so that was a fun one. "Oh Christmas Tree." Um, then we get, what was the next song? The next song was "Angels We Have Heard on High,"
Mm-hmm.
which is one of my favorite segments. It's probably of the songs my least favorite song in this personally, and
Well,
I
it's
the
like
not that
that
the
song's
it's
not
song is
just
important.
bad.
I like that it's bassoons though. Like
Yes,
Yeah.
it's really good.
I think, and I say that because I just like the other songs
Yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean,
But
again,
the
this song's not that important of the song. It's just
right,
the background music for what we're watching.
Hmm.
I got very strong, and I think I remember even making this comment when I was younger, like Disney Blue Danube uh, feel to this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very
Hmm.
Fantasia.
Yeah.
Um, but I love the penguins. The
Hmm.
penguins
The penguins
are
are
the best.
so good. The thing that's great though is like leading up to it, Herb is so starstruck and excited about this one.
Hmm.
So like
Oh
you
yeah,
get excited, like especially when you're a kid, you get excited about it too because you're like, yes, this is gonna be good. Herb said it was.
and
Which
then
this
it's
is
it's
this
ice
is
skating
where
walruses.
this
Ice
is where
skating
I
walruses.
I told Sam, because Sam up this to this point was watching it. I really hadn't told him it was claymation, like it was stop motion animation. I was like, dude, can you
Okay.
believe this is claymation? He's like, that's clay. Like, yeah, man, that's clay. He's like,
Hmm. Hmm.
what? He was just blown away. And it was too, this was a good one to realize it's claymation too, because it's so smooth.
So
Like
smooth.
Hmm.
Yeah.
everything is moving and everything is so smooth. And there's a few moments like when the walrus does a spin where that's definitely a clay like multi walrus
Mhm.
that they put
Right.
Yeah.
there to
Mhm.
kind of
Oh
fill
yeah.
it in.
Hmm.
It's just
Mhm.
really wild. He was his mind was blown. I had him at that point. I was like, I got this kid to think this is cool. And it was a lot of fun. I said, you could do that if you want to. He's like, nah, probably not. I was like,
You know
smart
what?
kid.
Now
Smart.
thinking about it now, though, I want a 3D print of that like spinning walrus
Yeah,
eldritch
the
horror.
multi. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's just like
Because
4 arms and legs
yeah,
out at your north, south, east, west points. Yeah.
Mhm.
yep. But just everything with the penguins in that scene is gold. They're so good.
Hmm.
Um, so that was Angels We've Heard on High. And then we get is this when the pigs show up?
Yeah.
I think it's our third
Yes.
joke leading
Hmm.
into because they're talking about the song was written by a 15-year-old, and they're getting into the history of that when a bunch of pigs with fruit come wallowing in. And so
Mhm.
Herb is all
Yep.
about that. He takes off again because of course he does. So he's wallowing with the pigs and the fruit, and we get Joy
It
to the
should be
World.
noted. It should be noted that this whole time, every time they come in and sing the song wrong, Rex is like, "No, it's wassailing," and everybody's like, "Well, what is that?" And he's like,
Right.
"I. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You're doing it wrong."
That's true. Even to the point of I think it's after this when they're looking it up in a dictionary, which
Right.
Yeah.
doesn't help them.
Hmm.
No.
So then we get Joy to the World, and I'm with you, Amy. You mentioned this earlier, but this was my least favorite as a kid.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I
I mean,
was
it's
Hmm.
not
cool.
in. It's
It's
really
great.
cool,
But
but I
when you're a
wasn't.
kid, you're like, "This is not Carol of the Bells
Right.
Right.
or
It's not
dancing."
Yeah.
claymation. It's not silly. It's not funny. It's just it's an acid trip. It's the
Yeah.
psychedelic moment.
Hmm.
Um, and I just didn't appreciate that as a kid. Watching it this time, I saw what it was, and it
Yeah.
reminded me a bit
Oh yeah.
of parts of like the Star Wars Halloween special get like that, right? Where it's just
Yeah.
like weird and knowing some of the other stuff that Will Vinton did in claymation, it completely makes sense that this is part of it because he got weird. Um,
But I mean, like any anthology, right? There's always going to be one that you don't necessarily jive with, you
Right.
yeah.
know?
Hmm.
It's just how it is.
So that was Joy to the World, and then we get our final song is the California Raisins
Oh yeah.
and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it's
It's
great.
so good.
I
That is
It's
so
love
so
the
good.
good.
California Raisins.
The
I love their
California raisins.
banter just before singing.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah.
Hey
As
man,
a
that's the
kid,
last bus.
I can't tell you how many times I said next reindeer is due any minute.
And I mean, here's the best part, right? Because the California raisins were huge. They're big stars, and they're waiting for the bus.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hang
Loved it.
on.
yeah.
And then it's like, well,
So
that's the
good.
last bus. Well, call me a cab. You're a
You're
cab.
a cab.
I
Mm.
was like,
What
Mm-hmm.
state were
uh,
we in as a country that that stuff like California raisins could become this cultural phenomenon? Ernest P. Worrell, who's
Mm-hmm.
hawking products across the country, could become a celebrity. I don't know what it was about the magic of the 80s. Maybe the cocaine. But
Yeah.
something happened that we just all could unite on stuff. And maybe it's a throwback to TV. We were all watching the same shows at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
That's a
Being
big part of it.
advertised to in the same way.
Mhm.
Maybe this internet thing wasn't such a good idea. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting too because California Raisins and Ernest, as you mentioned, both come out of advertising,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and you don't get that now because of just the nature of how ads are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a
Yeah.
totally different landscape.
Yeah, it's wild.
But
Well,
with
except
California Raisins did specials, and they even had a 2D animated cartoon show
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
of the California Raisins.
but you could argue that advertising has led to some of our better creators. Like there's so many directors that have come out of
Yeah, they
being
started there.
Oh, for sure.
started
Yeah,
at.
it's a great way to
So,
start because you get to be super creative in short period of
30
time.
seconds.
So you have to be creative in order to make that something memorable, for
Yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
'Cause-
the
oh, go ahead, Travis. I'm sorry.
oh no, please.
Well, we've definitely had that in phases. Like I guess in the 2000s, maybe late 90s, the Geico commercials started, and the Red Bull
Mhm.
commercials
Mhm.
kind of give us something where you could go, "Hey, did you see that Geico commercial?" And it makes you laugh, and everybody, like, "Yeah, I saw that too." But it's not
Mhm.
like this was. It's like this was a
No.
different. It's much
Yeah, you're not
different.
getting the phenomenon that
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Like I can tell you individual commercials,
Mm-hmm.
but or like ESPN did a really good run of Sports Center commercials at one
Oh,
point.
geez, Terry
Mhm.
Tate, office
Yes.
linebacker. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but they're not like you didn't have that didn't become
Right.
something. Like the closest we had is probably the caveman show with the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Geico cavemen.
I would say no. Better than that, the best example is Ted Lasso. That
That's a
started
good
out as
point.
commercials for soccer
Oh,
coming to
I
ESPN
didn't
or whatever it was, and
Yeah.
then became a
I
show.
didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, you should go back and see. There, you can find them. It was for NBC or something, and see some of the original skits. It's him
Mhm.
and Coach Beard just doing stuff, and it's it's the same humor. He's hilarious. There's a little bit more crudeness to him, not much, but it's still really funny stuff. And they took that and made the show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
they
I stand
doctored it
corrected
up a
then. It
little
does
bit.
happen.
There's a little bit of
Mhm.
a different. You can feel the difference in
Yeah.
the
Sure.
characters to a
Mhm.
degree. But it's the same. It's the same idea. That was a good call, Adi. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it still can happen.
Yeah.
I think it just doesn't happen as common.
Right.
It's not as common
Sure.
as it was for sure. Um, and then finally, after the California Raisins, and by the way, that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I love that version of it.
Hmm.
I love the one raisin that has the biggest nose, and it's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, hold on, what? No, are we doing? And then they like shine his nose
Shine
up.
it,
I loved
and
all
they
of that.
tweak it, and it turns on.
Mhm.
So good.
And then they leave with Santa's sleigh, like a bunch of raisin-shaped reindeer. It's
Yeah.
so good.
That they build.
Um,
They
yeah,
build the whole thing. It's so good.
and then after the California Raisin song, we get Rex is kind of at the end of his rope. Like he's just given up. He's not going to get him to deal with wassailing. When he hears, here we come a wassailing. He's like, they've got it right, and it's a bunch of like elves.
Mhm.
Yeah, with Irish accents though.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
they are for sure leprechauns, and
Uh-huh.
it is Christmas. I'm like, what are we doing, boys?
and what I love about it is, and I never made this connection as a kid, um, is because it was always for me, it was always like, oh, Rex was right. It was wassailing.
Hmm.
But Herb is also right in that it's a Christmas carol about
About
snacks
snacks.
Mhm.
and food.
Hmm.
So they both win.
There's also
Yeah.
the as we wish you a Merry Christmas has the verses about figgy pudding,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which having grown up listening to John Denver and the Muppets, you obviously know. So like you go in there knowing Rex is incorrect. There are of course
course.
carols about snacks.
Yeah.
I mean, of course he is. He's also correct.
Love it.
Um,
Oh, good.
And that's pretty much it. Like they end it with wassailing, and then we wish you a Merry Christmas,
Hmm.
and that ends the special. And this ran every year for a number of years, and I remember watching it a lot as a kid. Um, but it was just really fun to go back and revisit this for me because it was so simple. It was just we're going to do some Christmas carols. We'll jazz them up a little bit, but the claymation, the amount of time it takes to do stop motion animation is unreal, and then to do it
Bonkers.
all out of clay as well,
Yeah, it's not
which
like the
Hmm.
modern stuff like Coraline or Nightmare Before Christmas, where you have faces that you kind of just pop on and off, you
Mhm.
Yeah.
know. Like you're moving clay like Harryhausen. Like
Hmm.
this is this is the old school stuff.
which Will Vinton was part of. Like his studio did move from clay to foam,
Sure.
and doing all of that eventually. In fact, he copyrighted the phrase claymation, the word.
That
Huh.
makes sense.
Copyrighted by Will Vinton. And then he eventually coined the new one, foamation.
Oh wow.
Um,
That
All
doesn't go
right.
as well.
Yeah, I don't
yeah, it
like
Yeah.
that
doesn't
as
work quite
much.
as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to just do it all out of clay, and there's a look to that. Like there's a moment in We Three Kings I love where the one has the crown of gold, and when it
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
crumbles, I just love that. Like the way
Hmm.
it just kind of crumbles in his hand into the bag.
Yep.
Um, was super great. So Amy, do you
Yes.
have a favorite segment of the Claymation Christmas special?
I had to go with my boy Quasimodo because it really was like that. That was a just a formative piece of like that's my like I my humor comes from there. Many years later, when Disney put out The Hunchback of Notre Dame, I was all in.
Hmm.
He's a much cuter Quasimodo than this one. Um, but I remember being a little bit afraid of him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's like no, it's gonna be fine. These guys are all really funny. But like Quasimodo's scary in that. And it's just so good because I was also, I'm the kind of neurodivergent that gets upset when you don't follow the rules. And so you're like, come on, guy,
Hmm.
just do the
Right.
thing. You're supposed
You
to
have
do the
one job to
thing,
do.
and you're not doing it. Yeah, so it's got to be Carol of the Bells for me.
All right. Audie, what's your favorite one?
Uh, it's a toss up between Carol of the Bells and We Three Kings, just because of that song. Like
Mhm.
that version of the song is just always with me, no matter where I am. Whoever's playing it, I hear that version in my head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so when you get to the chorus, I'm like doing it way different than everybody else is. And it's come on, people.
Excellent. Stephen, what was your favorite
Yeah,
watching it for the first time?
there's this. I almost have to take this two different kind of ways. Like there's the music. We Three Kings was, I mean, top notch. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
But for visuals, I gotta go with the walruses and the penguins, man. Like it was just I I can't help but think about the background process when I watch stuff sometimes, like and just kind
Yep.
of
Mhm.
sit there and what kind of effort and work that took. And I mean, I was just they got him jumping off the ice, they got him falling into
Hmm.
ice, they got just water simulated with
Yep.
clay. It was
Mhm.
just stunning to me, the level of effort and what they got out of that. That's probably where I'm gonna land.
Plus, it's the most like Looney Tunes, Chuck Jones
That's a good
Yep.
point. Yeah, maybe it's
Yep.
feel to
speaking
it
to
as
me.
well.
That's true.
Um, would you say that was Sam's favorite as well?
Yeah, I think so. He really liked that. He did like the Carol of the Bells though, because he liked the dumbbell a lot.
Hmm.
That's definitely also a Looney Tunes like kind of
Yeah.
Hmm.
kind of thing going
Yeah.
on with the hammers. Yeah, everybody loves a hammer.
Uh huh. Oh, for sure. I have to go with Carol of the Bells as my favorite overall. Um, it's just Dumbbell is just amazing. Quasimodo. I'd forgotten it was Quasimodo. Like that totally flooded back as soon as they said Maestro Quasimodo
Hmm.
at the Notre Dame Cathedral, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's perfect. It's so
The
good.
announcer too, like it cannot be overstated. It's so good because
Hmm.
it's almost like a tennis match.
Right?
Yeah.
golf. It's more like
or
golf
golf.
announcer.
Yeah. Really good.
So, um, yeah, that is the Claymation Christmas celebration. It's only 24 minutes long, and it's almost all music. I will say there isn't a bad song in there.
No.
Even Joy to the
Mm,
World, which is not my favorite song, the visuals on it are so good.
I think
mhm.
the version
Um,
is kind of cool too because
the
it's,
version is cool
Yeah.
because it's
it's
jazzed up a little
funky.
bit. They did
Mhm.
that with all the songs.
Yeah.
I think is part of why I like this so much is changing those because they aren't dirgy,
Yeah.
and uh, so that goes a long way for me. But yeah, that's the Claymation Christmas celebration, and that ends our holiday celebration for this year, for the year of 2024, and our calendar year of 2024. This is our
Holy
final
cow.
episode of the year.
Wow.
Who would have thought that we would still be doing this? But
I
here we
know.
are.
We're at like
We're
episode
still doing it, and we're still having fun.
111. Isn't this
I know.
111? Holy cow.
111.
Yeah.
Our 111st episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Eat it, podcasters who can't get past 10. Look at us.
Yeah.
This is what
Ah,
professionals look like. Dedicated
Yeah.
to the craft.
Professionals.
Yeah.
did we get any feedback this
I
week?
got a nothing in the inbox this week, Travis.
Okay. All right.
Everybody's
I
busy eating turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. I got
Um,
one buddy mentioned it on Facebook that he showed it to his kid, and his kid was ho hum on it.
Of course. They don't know what they don't know what they're
Yeah.
missing.
If somehow you have not taken the time to appreciate Audie's art for this episode,
oh, please do.
I cackled.
It is us as
So
California
good.
Raisins is in my top two of favorite
So
versions of
good.
us with Dexter's Lab. Those two
Those are so good.
renditions of us are my favorites.
I hadn't watched the
Absolutely
episode yet, but I
hysterical.
knew that the raisins were in that, and as soon as I
Yes.
thought of that, I was like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing."
It was so good, Audie.
So good.
Um,
So good.
so we have a topic for our next round of
Yeah,
episodes.
do.
because you were not all you all were not going to vote over the holiday,
No.
Nah.
and we were not going to remember to put up a poll.
No.
Anyway.
Dealer's choice all the way. We're just going. Yeah.
So, Amy, what is that topic?
Our new topic is wait, this is for kids?
Yep.
Yes.
Quite a few directions we can go with
There's
that,
a lot
Oh,
of
oh,
directions
yeah.
you
There
can
is.
go.
There
which is
is.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fun. But Audie is going to start us off. And where are you taking us? What direction do we get to go?
Okay. So there's some obvious directions we have already talked about off mic, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we could do that." Or I could do this. And I'm just going to bring us back some more Jim Henson. We're going to watch The Storyteller.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Ooh.
I mean, not
Yes,
to
if you
not
guys
to get
like-
too excited or preview next week, but I'm
Not to give away the content.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to do, it's on Prime, episode 6, The Soldier and Death.
Yes.
I'm so ready.
Yes.
No
mean, look,
one is
the-
better than no one. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But no one is
Content.
better at the. Is this for kids? Than Jim
Right.
Henson.
Right.
Exactly.
He's the father
So-
of that genre.
I just had to
Yeah.
watch Oscar the Grouch get thrown down the stairs to be reminded of that. So I'm just so ready.
Mhm.
I'm so ready.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, and it's on Amazon Prime. So
Great.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm
What
gonna
what
watch
season
it.
and
Will be a
episode was that
little bit
again,
better.
Audie?
episode 6 on Prime. I don't know if that's
Okay.
different than wherever, but on
Perfect.
Amazon Prime, it's episode 6, The Soldier and Death.
I'm gonna watch the whole thing.
Just start at episode 1 and work my way through.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go.
Sure.
Excellent. I can't wait for that. This is going to be a fun topic. I'm really curious to see
Mhm.
what directions we all go in for it. But this is a great way to start. You can't go wrong with Henson.
Yeah,
No.
had to.
If you want to hang out with us when we record this show, we do it Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time, right here, twitch.tv/2dorkstv. You can be part of the live chat and yell at us about whatever we're doing, or just heap praise upon us. We do like that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or if you can't be here live and you just want to send us some feedback, you can do that at thosewere-the-days-show@gmail.com. We love your emails. We're also all on all the socials. I am most active right now, probably on Blue Sky as TV's Travis, but I'm all over the place too. Amy's out there, Danny Ora. We got Steve H&H and the Audie Norman.
Mhm.
So definitely, if you've got any feedback for us, there's also Those Days Show on Blue Sky.
Yep.
So find us there and follow us because we would love to hear from you. Do you remember The Storyteller? Did you watch it? How big of a Jim Henson fan are you? We
We've
want to
been
know.
over this.
Yeah, and don't forget
Yeah,
our speak pipes at speakpipe.com/2dorks. That's the
right.
number 2 dorks. You can just record a voice message and send it to us, and we can play it on the air. So if you're not a
Yeah,
fan of the written word, feel free to yell into your phone and send it to us. It'd
perfect.
be great.
Yeah, we'd love to get those, and we will
Hmm.
definitely play them on the show for you. So we'll screen them first, though.
Yeah.
Never.
Just saying.
We're
Um,
doing it live. Podcasting without a net.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Perfect. So next week we're going to be Jim Henson's Storyteller. I cannot wait. But until then, for Amy, for Audie, for Steven, I'm Travis. Uh, saying happy holidays. Let's have a great 2025.